Boris Johnson avoided the public on his first official visit to Scotland as Prime Minister, choosing a military base as venue. And while he was in the control room at Faslane, he's anything but north of the border, under attack not just from political opponents, but those he's meant to have on his side, like the Scottish Tory leader.
I'm a number one fan of Ruth Davidson and what she's done for Scottish Conservatives. I also think that she's right to think that we should be going for a deal, not no deal. That's where we should be trying to end up. But it's the responsibility of the government, of a government of the United Kingdom, to make sure that we are prepared for every eventuality.
Ruth Davidson has been a fierce critic of Boris Johnson and backed anyone but him in the leadership race. The relationship became more tense when he sacked a political ally of hers as Scottish Secretary. But today it all appeared very civil.
He has been reassuring the public in Scotland today, and me privately in the meeting that I've just had with him, that his primary objective and goal is to get a deal that he can bring back to the House of Commons. Now, I support him wholeheartedly in that. I understand that no-deal planning has to go ahead, and countries across Europe, including the Scottish Government, are making those same preparations. But I want to see a deal. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's give him the opportunity to go to Brussels, to start those negotiations, to bring it back to the House of Commons.
It's not just the leader of the Scottish Tories who's been critical. Independence campaigners in Glasgow this morning were wanting Boris Johnson
be saying loudly and clearly that Boris Johnson and his politics and his ideas about the world are going to be opposed and resisted here in Scotland.
From those passing by, a mixed welcome. He says he's here in Scotland to renew the ties of the Union. Do you think he can manage to do that?
Absolutely 100% no. It's only going to strengthen Scottish desire for independence, I think.
We're quite happy to see him up here, as personally.
I would wish him well.
And what do you make of Ruth Davidson in the mix here?
Disappointed that she's against Boris's ideas, but hopefully they'll work together as a team.
After a morning with the military, was it going to be conflict or consensus as Boris Johnson met with Scotland's First Minister?
Behind all the bluff and bluster, this government and the path that it is pursuing, I think, is dangerous. It became clear to me that this government, the new Prime Minister, has set the UK on an almost inevitable path to a no-deal Brexit. I made abundantly clear to Boris Johnson my opposition to Brexit and to a no-deal Brexit, and also made it clear to him that the people of Scotland should be able to chart their own course and choose their own future, not have that future imposed upon them.
The Scottish Government has been scathing about plans for a no-deal Brexit, and senior figures in the SNP believe his personality poses a problem too.
There's a number of issues for Boris in Scotland, most notably amongst them, of course, is the fact that he's prepared to pursue this do-or-die no-deal Brexit, which is singularly unpopular in Scotland. And there's also the fact about his own personality. There's just something about the bumbling public schoolboy blustering that somehow jars with the Scottish public, and we know that from opinion polling.
This was meant to be a visit where Boris Johnson announced money for communities across the UK, cash which Scottish ministers say has already been allocated. But his trip has been less about funding, more about creating foes, not just the First Minister, but potentially his Scottish leader too.